So first, to start out, where and what Cozad is. So Cozad's that little star right there, smack dab in the middle. It's actually the 100th meridian, and so that means that it's the imaginary line drawn that splits the arid west from the humid east. And so it's kind of cool to see that they have that history. They also have a lot of artistic history, and so there's an artist, Robert Henry, who grew up there. And so there's a lot of that in their background, and you can see throughout with the barn quilts all over the community. There's different art projects and things that are happening because of that. And they really have a destination downtown, and so people are going there to shop and hang out and do things during the day. And so that's just a little bit of background about Cozad.
Do you want to talk about Music Mondays?
Sure. So our project was a lot of different projects throughout the summer, but it all revolved around this idea of placemaking and having a place where people want to be. And so building Cozad as this unique rural area that it's not like other rural towns. It has its own special components. And so that's what all of our different projects had to do with. And so one of the first things we did when we got there right away was Music Mondays. And so every Monday in June and then one Monday in July, we had a concert out in the green space where there used to be a building that got torn down. And we had food vendors come in and tons of people, way more than we ever expected to come in. And it was really to activate that space because Cozad is hoping, as part of their downtown revitalization plan, to make that a town square someday. And so by having people come in and use that space, it puts that idea of like, this is what we could do in the future.
Going along with the Music Mondays, we hosted a Biz Kids Camp, which was an entrepreneurship camp for kids ages 10 to 14. And about 12 came to the camp and about 10 ended up launching a business at the first Music Monday. And so I assisted with that all throughout the camp. They were in class for 4 days and then just kind of helped them out setting up their tables and getting ideas and talking about my entrepreneurship experience and stuff like that. And they did really, really well. Some of them made hundreds of dollars. So it was really cool.
Keeping with the entrepreneurial spirit in Cozad, our mentor Jen said that Cozad is super innovative and there's tons of different entrepreneurs, and that goes back to that artistic history and thinking outside the box. There's several different businesses that have started in Cozad but have grown to become worldwide companies. They still have their headquarters in Cozad. And so we really wanted to keep up that momentum, and so the CDC, the Development Corporation, acquired a storefront building in downtown Cozad, and they were looking for a unique way to fill it rather than saying, hey, we have this building for rent. They were looking for something new, and so Jen came up with this program called Pitch It in Cozad. And so it's kind of like the Shark Tank, so people submitted ideas of what their business plan would be. And then we picked the top 5. They had to write out an entire business plan, and then we had 3 come and actually pitch their idea to a panel of sponsors that then chose our winner. And it was an incredible day. We had so many, like all of the ideas were so great that we actually decided to start up 2 businesses. So the CDC went out and bought another building so that we could have another business startup. And both of those, one is going to be an embroidery shop and one is going to be a Western boutique. Both of those should be started up around Christmas time. So we're really excited to see. That all goes back to the destination downtown. And then one of the big things that I specifically worked on was the First Impressions program. And so Cozad and Ogallala had teamed up. And so the First Impressions is really to see what visitors or new residents or new businesses see when they come into your town. And so both towns created a team of people to go and kind of survey and be a secret shopper per se. And so they went into the town, looked at what it looked like driving into the town, saw the different businesses, talked to people, looked at their websites, looked up healthcare and schools, and really anything, if you were moving to that town, anything that you would be interested in, and then wrote some recommendations and things that they noticed. And then my job was to compile all that information. And then Shelby and I added in, Cozad had a library survey, and so we added that all together and did a huge presentation at the end of the summer for the community on what they could improve and do better on to really bring up our first impression of Cozad. And then tied with that, we applied for a grant through the Sherwood Foundation so that we could actually provide funding to people who wanted to make those first impressions. So repainting buildings, doing facade improvements, doing landscaping, doing different collaborative events downtown, things like that. We're hoping to hear back on that grant and figure out if we can help people actually improve the first impressions.
Going along with that, that presentation was on our second to last day, and it was just a really great way to end our era in the community and just kind of show what our legacy was. But also we did, Cozad has kind of a weird infrastructure. The first day we went to the town, there's random streets in the middle of the residential area that are unpaved. Like it'll just be a block of gravel. And so that was something very strange to us, and Jen's actually applying for a grant to pave those streets. So me and Christy went out one day and mapped all of Cozad, all the streets that were paved, all the streets that weren't paved. Also, the Development Corp owns 4 lots, 2 residential and then 2 commercial, and so there's 21 lots for residential in one area and 8 in the other, and they didn't have realty signs as well as the commercial lots. They didn't have them either. And so I went and I ordered 4 realty signs for all of these lots so people can know and developers can know what's for sale and all the opportunities in Cozad.
And then also, as part of our experience, we got to be involved in a couple different conferences. The first one was the Nebraska Economic Developers Association, or NEDA. Our mentor was actually hosting the conference, and so we got to help with a lot of the planning and setting up. It's actually in Gothenburg, but we got to help kind of see what all went into that, and then we actually got to participate and listen to some of the speakers. We got to listen to John Cook come and speak, and we got to go on a water tour and hang out at the Monsanto Water Utilization Center. So that was really exciting. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think you covered it. It was a great experience.
And then Jen and I actually got to go to, it's kind of tied together, but the Nebraska Diplomats Dinner as well as the Governor's Economic Development Conference. And so Jen was actually presenting about the Pitch It and Cozad process in a panel, and so we got to watch that. And we got a shout out from the governor, which was really cool, about what we were doing. And really see what other communities were doing. We got to see some of the other RFI interns, and it was just really great to meet different people in the industry that we were in.
So, like I said, our last hurrah, our last first impressions presentation, we kind of got to make people realize that we spent a summer in Cozad, 2 young girls spending the summer alone with no friends, and we fell in love with this town. And they were just so impressed that we love this town, and I think it was just kind of boosted camaraderie and just made them realize what they have here in central Nebraska.
Yeah, so like it says, we love Cozad. They gave us little pins that say we love Cozad.
Mine's right here.
And I think it was kind of a shock to everyone at the presentation when we said that and really meant it. And so I think that kind of brings back of, we want to come back to Cozad and we want them to keep doing great things, and likewise in other rural communities. So as far as developing as leaders, our mentor Jen has this idea, it's called Growth Edge. And so that's really where we focused on throughout the summer. And so I put a definition up there. It's the places in our life where we really want to be and live from, but we're too scared to go there. And so it's really things that you want to improve on and really sharpening your talents and your abilities. So one of the first days we were there, Shelby and I both created a growth edge, which we'll share with you.
Okay, my growth edge was professionalism. So my parents are a florist and a farmer, so I never grew up with professional parents, and I've never had an office job. So I thought, working in an office space for an entire summer, I should probably work on this. And so things like saying the right things at the right time and kind of not being funny all the time, because I have a tendency to do that. And just another thing that we were surrounded by community leaders the whole summer, and I think that really taught us about what it's like to be a leader in the community, and really taught us a lot about what we want to do when we have our own communities. So.
And then my growth edge was really to build connections with the community leaders, and that really is because of two reasons. One, I want to be able to go back to Cozad, and now I know all these people, and when I have a question or something that I want their entrepreneurial ideas on, I can go back and talk to them, and I know that they can be mentors for me, and so I have that network now. But also to understand how, when working with community leaders, how we can all work together to create a broad overarching goal for Cozad and not be siloed into our different areas and industries. And so I got to do that by going to the different conferences. Like I said, the Governor's Summit, that was really a great experience to see that. But then also working directly with some of the community leaders on different projects. Like the First Impressions program, that's really a goal for all of Cozad and not just one area, and so we all have to work together, and so I hope that we can see how that all pans out in the future. So, any questions from you all?
Uh-oh.
Great job.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so I had the opportunity to be with you on a couple of occasions in Cozad, and as I hear your report today, which has been fantastic, it's clear to me that the strength of your experience grew out of the relationships that you developed. I'd like for you to talk a little bit about the approach you took just to build your acquaintance in the community, because it went beyond people in high office. You got to know all kinds of people up and down the street. I'd just like for you to talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think one thing that really helped us was our mentor knows almost everyone, and so does her husband, and they are very liked in the community and very social. And I think just the fact that she would go up to people and be like, "Oh, hey, these are my interns, Shelby and Christy," and then we'd start a conversation with them, and it was very comfortable. And just having that setting, other than just going up to people and introducing ourselves, I think that really helped and made our experience that much better.
I think also with that, we spent a lot of time in Cozad, and we tried to stay there for the majority of the summer, even on weekends and evenings and everything. And so hanging out at the different community events, we're going back for heydays because we know everyone now. And so just talking to people when you go to the post office or when you're walking down the street, it makes a huge difference.
And along with that, I know I keep thinking of things, but a lot of the business owners we worked with, talking to them about Pitch at Cozad and stuff like that, and so we built great relationships with them. There was we have our favorite shops in town, like Kelly's Hardware, where Kelly runs it, and he's always in there, and you can borrow anything from him quick and then bring it back, and it was really great.
For sure.
I noticed you used the word legacy, and that's a very strong word, so it was exciting to kind of see and hear you use that word. So as you think about the future of rural communities, how would you characterize the potential future for communities like Cozad?
That's a big question.
It is, but just go for it. I mean, you have a lot of great thoughts around this, so I'd love to just hear what you're thinking, what's possible.
Go ahead.
Okay. I would say entrepreneurship. I know big cities have tons of markets and there's tons of entrepreneurs, but in small towns, entrepreneurship thrives. For example, one of the Pitch at Cozad winners is the Double L Embroidery, and her husband and her already own another company. It's a tree service company, and there was no tree service in Cozad, and they're busy all the time. I mean, it grew from nothing. It was almost accidental. And so things like that, just realizing problems, solving those problems by starting a business is a great thing for small towns, and I think that's part of the future of rural communities.
I'd agree with that. And Shelby and I talked about this throughout the summer, but really, it's really easy to see in Cozad because they are so creative, but really even having that entrepreneurial spirit or innovation in day-to-day lives. You don't have to start a business, but think about how you could do things differently. And I think that also attracts the young people back to the community.
Teresa Klein here. You guys did a fantastic job. My question for you is, what did you learn that will really stick with you besides your growth edges? As you look to your future, what legacy did Cozad leave with you?
For me, it's definitely the relationships that I've built, as I talked about with my growth edge, but also really practicing the skills that it takes in talking with people. And so doing different things to actually accomplish goals. So putting together presentations for the whole community, writing a grant, I can definitely use in my future, but just learning those actual skills, like what are the real steps that we actually have to take to do something differently.
I'd agree with that as well. Along with that, I would say just working with a partner, and I enjoyed it. I mean, it was amazing to have somebody that was so opposite than me, and then we grew so much. Like Helen said, that we would grow the most out of everybody because we were the most opposite. And I 100% agree with that, and I think that's really the legacy that leaves with me, is you can work with people that are completely different than you.